Hi, we really need to talk about this, okay? I'm gonna give you five of my most cherished tips, my most personally cherished tips as a fellow highly sensitive person. I've been struggling with my sensitivity for most of my life. It led me to a lot of negative situations because, and this is gonna be the first point, I was ashamed of myself. I was ashamed for crying all the time, for example, as a young child. And with like rampant misogyny, for example, and even for men, you're not really supposed to cry and stuff. It took me a long, long time to understand that there is nothing to be ashamed about. Just think about it logically. Who cries for no reason? You might tell yourself, oh, it's not a good enough reason. I shouldn't be crying. But in fact, the fact of the matter is nobody cries for no reason. And we're gonna tackle that negative self-talk in a minute. I believe that a lot of people are emotionally lazy and they shame us. Now, just think about it, getting constructive criticism, first of all, if it's uncalled for, I don't really believe that it's well intended. Um, at the very least, it's unaware for people because they don't really think about, is this person actually in the proper mindset to receive? That's why I like these videos, because you can click out anytime. Let me just I'm in my child's room, so yeah, anyhow. So the first tip is we have to deal with our shame. Our shame that is automatic, because this world is unforgiving. This world is emotionally lazy. People are detached. So they don't want to deal with anything. Just be submissive, be whatever I need you to be, and everything else is your fault. That's basically how a lot of people are. And if we believe that, we end up in toxic relationships. And it's not only even more trauma on top of other traumas that we've experienced. It can actually put ourselves in a lot of danger, and we don't want that. So work around shame. Who shamed you when you were little? Or write a list of the people so you know. And I want to also say the second one, it kind of goes with it, is we have to cut out these people. Like, for example, if we have a parent that just always shames us somehow and they always comment on whatever just to make us feel bad, just to put us down, or even somebody like a friend who's just super critical. Like, let's say you want to fulfill your dreams and you tell them about it, and they make you feel like you don't want to tell anybody about anything because they're just gonna say, oh, you want to do fashion? Oh, there's so much fashion out there already. I just, and I'm gonna be honest, we can't cut out everybody, but if we're not in this state yet where we can stand up for ourselves and oppose other people without feeling like we're gonna die, then we have to create distance from these people who are not sensitive enough to understand that other people have emotions. The third tip is don't overwhelm yourself. I think a lot of us tend to be not only sensitive, but also overthinking. And that also it boils down to also our shame, our insecurity, like we don't feel good enough, we feel like whatever, we always question ourselves. And that can be a very good thing, because somebody, like, just imagine a world where people are not sensitive at all. They just don't care, they're very selfish, they don't think about anything other than their own short-term gains. Imagine a world like that, and some would argue maybe that's why the world is the way it is right now. But humans tend to focus on negativity the most. And that also kind of ties into the next tip, is be aware of the way you talk to yourself. And it can be a lot when you're an overthinker and your inner voice is your worst enemy. So your best friend is going to be awareness, but what that means is you are your own observer. Just step into the space where you're not consumed by yourself, by your own thoughts, but you're actually watching and listening to your own thoughts. And I would argue that's not only super productive and beneficial, it's very, very interesting. And then you can kind of, more and more you will understand that other people also have these voices. Everybody has this voice in some shape or another. And you will realize that you don't have to take things too personally all the time, because most people are just so absorbed with their own thoughts and their own issues. So the next tip, the fourth one, I think, is, well, it kind of has to do with the other one. Learn how to trust yourself. And you cannot do that without dealing with this negative self-talk. You trust yourself also by reminding yourself where you're keeping yourself safe, where it's benefiting you that you're sensitive, and don't only think about other people, because your sensitivity is an incredible tool to navigate the world, to stay away from people who might harm you in the future. And that's the thing, it can always be in extremes. It can always be you're so sensitive and traumatized that you cannot trust anybody. You don't even want to leave your house, where it can become like a disorder. So obviously we have to give ourselves the help that we need, and we have to seek the help that we need from other people, because we are social creatures. So if you can, talk to somebody who you trust, or find somebody who is actually trained for mental health and stuff like that. Like, for example, it's just too hard to find a therapist or whatever. So there are numbers you can call sometimes. You can just, take a walk and talk with somebody who is actually trained and willing and ready to listen and to support you emotionally. The last thing is, I already talked about self-trust, cutting out people. So if all of these things is too extreme, sometimes you just need to take a break. Just take a break, take a walk, take a hot bath if you can, take a nap. Just take a break sometimes, whatever you're doing. Especially when you're a creative person like me, if you don't take breaks, your creativity suffers, because you are suffering without even knowing it. And in this world, we have to deliberately take breaks, because the world is never resting. And things go fast, and we're supposed to be super productive and all of these things, but you have to take breaks. Otherwise, you're gonna burn out, and then your body's forcing you to take a break by getting sick or something like that. So yeah, just to summarize, work around shame, your negative voice in your head. Try to slowly neutralize it, observe yourself. Don't overwhelm yourself. So meditation could be a very good thing, for example. Taking breaks. Don't suppress. I hope I talked about that. But don't suppress either. So awareness is key. Again, awareness is always key. And cut out toxic people or people who put you down. So yeah, that's all for today. Like the video, please. And then see you, see you soon.